Again in studio, this time about coding, just a little bit more basic and not anything more advanced. When people like more and more advanced, there is more and more dangers, and dangers can make a lot of problems. A lot of time people also want to glow much better and have much more light, and that can lead to a millions of problems. Also problems with the ethical coding. The ethical coding, probably it can be dynamic or static, but in any case it might need the right compile. So when you compile the right code on the right time, it's also a good thing to do, especially if you also use the protocols for safety. The safety is actually very important also in any type of structure, or if you have any type of special structure. It is not easy to type a very good code, but it's also very important to build some sort of problems if you are building something bigger. To build a safe code, it's not simple, especially if you use any type of day action script, and those are very, very difficult. There is also the J programming language, and it's very, very, very difficult. Uh, Me would actually think about more C would be better language, because with C you can also build different type of software for any type of purpose. The J programming language is actually quite difficult, but is still a programming language. Uh, if you use the J programming language, you should also use some safety protocols so there will be no disease inside. The combination is actually the Linux, and of course all type of programs in Linux are very, very difficult, but of course you can also use microends or other forms of programming together with the function. There are a lot of forms in C. In C programming, you can actually build different type of software, and use also Java. The Java is actually very good programming language, and it's probably much better than J programming language and Lua. The Lua is also interesting for me, and also Julia. Of course, the Julia without Romeo, and not the brutal story that people know. The Lua is actually quite good general purpose programming language, and the Lua can also build some simple apps. But if you look for something very, very advanced, probably you should also use Python. The Python is also programming language, but this one is actually also for gaming. The gaming is actually very dangerous sector, and it's very, very, very complex because it also uses PlayStation. With standard version of microints, of course, it's not simple to build better apps directly from the software, but you can, if you like, also use the simple microints Ruby. This one is extremely complex, and probably also myself will need few years to build the next level of it, because every time you look for something on more and more advanced level, it is not simple. If you are building any type of meta class that's extremely, extremely complex, number topic, and probably not simple, sometimes you should just forget about the precision in the numbers and you just build a simple version of the Bitcoin, or blockchain where you are building the next blocks. Me do not know if you can build the next blocks in blockchain with Lua, but probably with C or Python, that would not be a problem. But also probably the Java is very good programming language. The way you see different type of code is of course not simple, and if you are developing or you already finished with developing your own language, that of course you can put Lua and a little bit of Julia and a little bit of Java and you get new language, but then it become more complex. The TT language is also very complex and me would not recommend it. Of course, you can import different language in your program and also in your studio. The precision of the studio is not 100%. It is not easy to understand all the graphics. The graphics are very strange, but if you have the software, everything become more and more and more simple. And if you are building something in application or application layer of things, you need to know that applications are actually not related to any type of law. That's very important to know if you are building anything in the web. The web, if you're building applications, it's not simple, and probably the whole laboratory of the internet or whatever people think that internet is extremely strange, sometimes even dangerous, especially if you apply that to physics. Not simple to understand the app functioning and interfaces in the web, but the standards with Java are quite simple. The Java is not very simple language, but it become more and more simple if you understand it. The programming language of Java is actually slightly an application and a little bit of software, but you can build applications or software without each other also. Sometimes you also must ask yourself, if you are a coder, what is the computing platform or what the coding is. Sometimes even to think about things like network, desktops, or different forms of desktops, but also about different forms of servers and what type of dangers those might make, because it is not simple to understand the whole PC world. In the software, there might be a lot of Java, and a lot of time me think that Java is some sort of Mona Lisa and very artistical sometimes. But of course, most of programmers do not think like me, and they might think that's more a technology. But me also think the Mona Lisa is not so much technology, but it's more simple and more the Picasso type of forum. And it also built some sort of lawyer, so you could not be more poor than the lowest 20%. Going upper and upper with controlling technology is extremely complex. And also in my friends, it's very complex and it's very protected design. All the controls are also protected and all kind of forums. There is a lot of different software you can get today in modern markets, but of course it is not simple to figure it out what exactly you need for your next level. If you are coding with Flags, that's also extremely not simple, and you can just mark things about blue and red or look for different trends. The different trends in user interface, of course, are also the microends Unix and microends Linux, but it's also important to understand microends file system, which is extremely difficult, sometimes also coded together with colors. Of course, in book, any type of color is extreme danger. Sometimes you need to know that people should not code book, but of course ethics are very complex in any type of interface, or depends what do you want to develop in application or in modeling world of application with other company. It's not simple to understand what type of forums are even possible in life, and it's also not simple to understand computers in general forum. And that's why 90% of people will look for the simple things and not anything more. Of course, for developers, they might look for different versions of Java in microends and also software microends forum, or the platform where you can get the next data about microends or anything else about installation or picture that is available. Not simple to understand entire culture in applications because it's extremely difficult and include millions of feature. Those feature are actually some sort of tools that are building code and are some sort of processors of cryptocurrency or the blockchain. It's not easy to understand the updating also and the encryption in the software and also in applications. It's not easy with the software and how you build the encryption in the code, and that encryption actually protect the software so no one could steal it or copy it. Sometimes people, especially in programming industry, copy some things, and it's nothing wrong with that because that's a software industry. Of course, you can also make the protections with your logo and different type of coding layers. Understanding the whole network, it's not simple, and it's very important to build different layers of code. Also in the stockage pack, that type of pack is very difficult, and 100% do not compare with other people because that would be a complete disaster. Some people also think that the software is extremely difficult and that belong only to one brand, but of course that's 100% not correct. And the software is 100% not for free and is extremely expensive. But it's also important to understand that any coder could build software if you are a coder. But probably it's better to build the software for the brand because in other case you might not be profitable, and that of course is the problem of the work. Building better work, it's not simple because the work usually through the entire year it's 100% the same, and you will be bored if you try to build anything new, better, or more specific, especially if there is a company or something more related to lawyers or law. The very important forum in coding is that coding is not related to any type of laws, and that actually build a much more secure money system that actually can be involved also with the simple forums of safety. The Java Guard safety is very important, and the safety with Java Guard is very difficult to develop, especially if you are building the ownership enterprise for other people in your company. And if you are building more and more software, you should also look for professional micro and Java, which of course cost $1 million a year. And of course, that is not simple. The different encryptions in simple Java microends are very simple. and you can actually get it near $5 for one script. But of course, it is not for free. And if you put all together, you'll figure it out. If you spend $5 a day, that's not so little of money in entire year. Of course, the scripts price can go up and down, and the price can go till $1 million in a day and till the $0 in day. And of course, some people can spend all their money if they are spending too much on software. It is not simple to build different type of crypto and software, and also not simple with any type of information, and that type of information is 100% secured, unless of course you open it for other people. Then also other people can look into that information and build some sort of version for themselves. The different type of ego are in fashion industry, and fashion industry is 100% not related with the software, because in software industry you'll be 100% more bored. Of course, it's also not simple with the capital. That might be the book of the crypto. The book of crypto is extremely complex and might include more naming, and it's very difficult, but it also protects the owners of the company. So if people work in company, they also must check the book, or of course their life and understanding of the whole theory in company become more and more complex. How complex the books can be if they are providing crypto, of course, it's very, very difficult to understand anything if you are not a professional in analysis, which 90% of people, of course, are not, and they like to work on more simple forums. Implementing different type of Java is not simple, and me as individual, of course, also think about different encryptions and what would be the best encryptions for the end users, and how to limit users so they could not hurt each other, because some users are extremely dangerous and very complex. The encryptions, of course, are very complex in any type of code. And if you build the platform with a lot of users, probably you are also going to cause some trouble to some users if you are not careful with the overall integrity. The integrity, it's not simple, and of course it's very important to understand simple forums.